Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Female Footballers Podcast.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Female Footballers Podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Female Footballers Podcast. My name is Kathy Gray. I am your host, and I'm joined by Rachel Thomas on our staff as well. But today we have a very special guest. This person was drafted 13th overall by the San Diego Wave in the 2023 NWSL draft. She played collegiately at Stanford University from 2019 to 2022, where she helped the Cardinal to one NCAA championship and 3 Pac-12 titles. We'll forgive her for being a Cardinal, as we are both Bears. But she is also our newest mentor here at Female Footballers. Please welcome Sierra Enge.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yes, we're so excited that you're here and that you have signed on to be a mentor. And I think you might be our first Stanford mentor, so we will cut you some slack there. Don't worry.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, we're so excited to have you. And so let's just jump right in. Like, we'd love to know a little bit more about your story and your youth experience and kind of coming up within the sport and some of your background. So can you tell us a little bit about your background in soccer?
Yeah. So I started playing soccer when I was really young. My parents say 4 years old. I don't actually know how old I was, but I was young. Both my parents played sports in college, and I had an older brother. So I was just thrown into every sport and played everything. There's a picture of me and my brother playing baseball together. So I just kind of did everything, and I was really doing it for the fun of it. Like, I loved the team environment and the camaraderie that you had in sports, and so I just kind of did everything, loved it all. I kind of started to get more serious about soccer when my dad actually started coaching me when I was around 9 years old. My dad played soccer in college, so he kind of was like, oh, this would be a fun thing to do, a good bonding experience. And he started coaching me. And there's a benefit to having your dad as a coach, as much as there is some negatives, but we were always, the first ones there and then the last ones to leave. And so while he was kind of setting up drills, I would be messing around with the ball. And I think that's kind of where I started to realize, like, oh, this is actually something that I really enjoy doing. I wasn't like I was a standout player at all. Like, I was a sub on my team a lot. Like, I was really just out there to have fun, but I kind of started to be like, oh, this is something that I really like. And all throughout middle school, I played multiple other sports. So I played for my middle school and played volleyball and lacrosse and soccer. And then I actually played lacrosse all the way up until my freshman year of high school. So I was kind of doing a lot of different sports, but I kind of started to get better and better at soccer, and also realized that, it was what I loved doing the most. And I was working pretty hard at it, and I was seeing returns on my hard work. And so it kind of just naturally happened where I was like, oh, this is what I'm going to do. And I'm pretty lucky growing up in Southern California, because the talent is just is pretty incredible here for youth soccer specifically. And so I just I played for my local teams for a little while. And when I was about 14, I moved to a little bit more of a competitive team, just because I was like, I need a new challenge. Like, my biggest thing growing up and even now is I feel like I get a lot better when I'm in a challenging environment and when I'm playing against players that are better than me. So I was playing for a local team, and I was like, it's too easy. Like, I don't have to work that hard at practice. And so I moved to a different team, still pretty local. Did 3 years there, the team in Carlsbad, and then kind of the same thing. I was getting called into national team camps at that point, and the coaches were like, look, you have to play for a better club team. Like, you have to play with players that are going to be challenging you. And so then I moved and played for the SoCal Blues, which is a little bit of a drive, but so worth it, because I got to play with so many incredible players, some girls that I played with at Stanford, a bunch of girls that are playing professionally now. I think we had 6 girls from my team drafted. So it was in this past draft. So it was a really awesome experience. But I just loved my youth youth and club soccer experience, I just felt like I got to meet so many incredible people, be coached by really good coaches, and learn a lot by kind of challenging myself and pushing myself into new and different environments.
That is so awesome that so many players from your club team are playing professionally. I know Southern California is like a mecca for amazing
Yeah.
soccer, and both Rachel and I grew up here in the Northern California area, and I feel like we're similar, but I think SoCal is even more so. You're from San Diego originally, correct?
Yeah.
Or Cardiff? Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Very cool. Well, let's get into Stanford and the recruiting process because you're already playing youth national teams. What age did that start and how did that kind of come to be? Like, how did they see you if you weren't playing on like intense competitive teams?
Yeah, so I got there were these US soccer training centers. I don't know if they're still doing them, but they basically had a couple in each like regional area. So there was one in LA that brought in like everyone from Southern California essentially. And so when I was playing for one of my local club teams, I think like my coach at the time kind of put my name up as someone who would be, someone who should go. I think the coaches could choose like two players from each team. And so I went to that and did well at that. And the coach that was running like the US training center then put my name up for national team stuff. So I went to my first U14 camp, which is kind of crazy that they start that young when I was in eighth grade. So that was kind of my first experience. And I remember the camp was in Portland. There were like 48 girls there and I literally had no idea what I was getting myself into. I was like, oh, it's just like a training, like a week long training thing. Like I didn't know we were going to show up and run a fitness test and then have double days the rest of the week. So I was, yeah, I guess in that situation, ignorance is bliss because I wasn't stressed at all. I was just like, oh, it's like a fun training environment. And then I got there and, you have your coaches meeting and you're evaluated every day. And I was like, oh, okay, this is a little bit more intense than I thought it was going to be. But I played really well that first camp, honestly, I think because I wasn't stressed at all. I didn't really know what it meant. And I kept getting invited. So I played with the U14 team and then moved with the U16 team. And then I played up a little bit with the U17 team, and that's kind of where I think I was really blessed to be in that situation because I was playing with all these girls who were getting recruited and who were a little bit older than me, and we had a lot of college coaches that would come out, especially because we were preparing for the U17 World Cup, and so I was kind of seen by a lot of coaches in that environment, and then that was also around the time where I moved over to play for the SoCal Blues, and we had so many coaches at every game just because we were a really talented team. And so, yeah, I kind of just, I think it's a really overwhelming experience. I think no matter what level you're playing at or where you're getting recruited from, it's really overwhelming. Like some people have a lot of schools reaching out to them, some people don't have many, but you still just feel this stress and this pressure to commit, and you see people around you that are committing, and it's really hard not to compare yourself to the people around you. And my dad is just like a huge mentor and advocate for me in my life, and I feel really lucky to have him because he kind of walked me through the process and he sat me down and he was like, look, you can make this really overwhelming or you can control it. And so he was really helpful because, at the time I was committing when I was a freshman in high school. Like I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't really know what was going on. I didn't know what college was even really like. And so I kind of tried to simplify it as much as possible. And I was like, okay, what are the things that matter the most to me? And for me, that was somewhere where I could be academically challenged and then somewhere where I would be athletically challenged. And so I basically put together a list of like 5 or 6 schools that I really wanted to go to. And I emailed those schools and went from there. So I kind of tried to, instead of worrying, about everything that was going on and all the different schools that were kind of reaching out or different phone calls to be on, I was like politely declining those and then really just focusing on the ones that I was interested in. And to be honest, when I stepped on Stanford's campus, I was like, okay, I don't think I need to go to any more visits. I think I only visited one school before Stanford. And then I was like, this is this is it. This is where I want to be. I just fell in love with the campus. I got to meet really cool people just even on my recruiting visit. I got to sit in on some classes and meet some students that I was just fascinated by. And then also learning more about the soccer program. I was like, this is where I want to be. So I feel like I got really lucky and had a pretty straight path. But to people that are going through it, I would say, like, you're going to find the school that suits you. You're going to find the school that fits you, and really just focus on, as cliche as it sounds, running your own race and not looking at what other people are doing, because some people are going to commit really early. Some people are going to commit later. For some people, certain schools make sense, and for some people, others do. So kind of just taking your time with it and really thinking about what school would be a good fit for you, regardless of your sport or, or soccer. Just really more focusing on, what school would be good for me as a complete human being, not just as an athlete.
Oh, I love that. Such great advice and so true. And it's a hard thing for high school girls to do. We mentor a lot of high school girls, and that's one of the biggest questions we get is like, how do I not compare? How do I not drown out the noise? And how do they not like get excited when the random school shows so much interest, even though it's like not somewhere they really care to be? And so that's such great advice. Thank you. Because there's just so many girls out there going through this right now, and just running your own race, such great advice. So. Well, while you're playing at Stanford, we have, we joke about the Cal Stanford thing, but Stanford's such an amazing school and an amazing program. And we got a chance to talk to Marguerite over the summer on our podcast. And when I first started Female Footballers, I think it was 2018. It was like the year before you were there, maybe 2017. We had Stanford come and work one of our clinics. And Andy Sullivan at the time was on the team, so she's a few years older than you, I'm sure. But and they came and worked with our clinic, and ever since then, Marguerite was amazing, and just the whole vibe of the team was so awesome. So tell us a little bit about your experience at Stanford, because I think there's a lot of girls who wonder what it's like to play at that level at the top, because this is not just the D1 level. This is the Final Four national champion level, which is a whole different level. And so if you can give us a little insight into what that experience is like, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so grateful for Stanford soccer because it truly has given me my best friends, and to this day, the people that I spend the most time with, and call, and in times of joy and in times of need. So I'm super grateful for the experience. And I think, going into it, I knew it was going to be a pretty competitive environment. I don't think I knew exactly how much, I was going to be pushed out of my comfort zone when I was stepped foot, my freshman year. I came in and I had actually torn my ACL my junior year of high school. And so I was kind of coming in after having only played half a season my senior year. And so I wasn't really back at the level that I really wanted to be at. And so that was part of, I redshirted my freshman year. And a lot of it was just because I wasn't ready to compete at the collegiate level yet. But my first few practices, like a pass would be a couple feet off, which obviously wasn't great, or like a pass would be a little bit to the side of someone and immediately they'd be demanding it to be played to their feet. And so I think that my freshman year was just such a cool opportunity to learn, because I wasn't worried about playing because I wasn't going to play. And so I just watched and learned as much as I could, and paid attention to kind of what the older girls were doing at practice. And I think that is what made us so good, was that we demanded a lot of each other and we challenged each other a lot, but then we also supported and loved each other at the same time. And I think it was just an incredible culture. And I appreciate, the older girls that really like took us under their wing and walked us through it. I think Katarina was a huge influence on us. She was only a grade above my class, but she kind of jokingly called us her daughters, and pulled us in and really just kind of showed some unconditional love. And I was really appreciative of that. So I think kind of what makes it so special is that you have these people that want to win and are going to compete and fight every single day at practice. And a lot of times, if you lost your small-sided game, you walked off of practice pissed and like didn't want to talk to anyone in the locker room or the shower. But then as soon as you're in class, it's all fun and games, and you're chatting with your teammates and laughing with them. So I felt like that balance of competitiveness and supportiveness was just pretty incredible, and something I definitely don't take for granted.
Well, and I think it takes strong character to be able to go back and forth between that. A lot of the clinics and mentorship that we do at female footballers, we have a lot of girls that ask that question, or they get pissed off when a girl in practice takes things too seriously. And
Mm-hmm.
it's sort of like that speaks more to the culture of the team, but like to have the culture where you can go back and forth between those two things without drama and cattiness amongst teammates is very important, which speaks to why you guys are so successful. And it's, you mentioned lifelong friends. Rachel and I played together at Cal and we're lifelong friends. And we have a group of 12 of us that get together every year and we're on text strings still so many years later. And can you speak a little bit about some of the friendships you've made? I know one of your current teammates, I think, is one of your close friends, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've talked about it a lot with my friends from Stanford. And, I had good friends in high school that I really loved. And, we spent a lot of time together, but they didn't really understand it when I, had to miss homecoming for a soccer game or if I missed prom for a tournament. And so I think that when I first got to Stanford, I was like, wow, I am closer with these girls in a matter of a week than I am with a lot of my friends that I've known for years. And obviously, part of that is, the college experience of living with each other and going through everything together. But immediately when I got on campus, I was like, oh wow, like this team, these are my people. Um, my class at Stanford was just incredible, and I was really, I still am really close with them. So we kind of just bonded. There's a lot of things as a freshman that are different and challenging, and we just kind of held each other arm in arm and walked through it together. And so that was really, really special. And then also to have these older girls that were just really good mentors. I was a freshman when AJ, our goalkeeper, was a fifth year. And when I found out I was redshirting, I went and talked to her because I was like, she had redshirted her freshman year. And I was like, I just want to have your perspective and just learn a little bit more about it. And I'm so grateful to her because what she told me to do was um, to focus on school. And if you're going to be here for 5 years, you might as well make the most of it and to get started on your undergrad as soon as possible so that you can get a master's and do it all in the time that you're going to be there for soccer anyways. And so that's what I did. And I got to graduate from Stanford in 4.5 years with an undergrad and a master's degree. So I am super grateful to her for kind of mentoring me through that. And then also to have people like Alana and Tierna, and other girls like Carly Malatsky, who's, off doing incredible things in this world, to just kind of pull you in and really, just talk to you. I think the girls at Stanford were really good about opening up and sharing different experiences of like, look, this is hard, and this is kind of what I did to get through it, or this is something that works for me that has helped me to be successful. And I think being a college athlete is really difficult at times, and it's often glamorized, and people think that it's great, and it is, but there's also really difficult pieces of it. And so having a team that was so supportive and was really willing to offer advice and mentor was something that it has just been really incredible for me. And it's awesome now being able to play in the NWSL, and oftentimes I'm playing against someone who I played with at Stanford. And so it's great to just um, be able to see those people after the game, and even to be able to play with some of my Stanford teammates and Naomi and Belle. And I never actually got to play with Kira, but she was a year above me. So just to be able to have that community is incredible.
Yeah. And when you talk about your class, like for those people listening who might not know, we're talking Naomi Girma, Sophia Smith, correct? Is she your year?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
who else are you talking? I mean, Katie Meyer. Um,
yeah. Abby Grubel was in my class as well as
okay.
Bianca. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And, speaking of Katie and, the experience the last few years, I know we don't have to go too far into it, but we had Steve and Dina on our podcast this year, and they were gracious enough to discuss their initiative. Are you involved with Katie's Save at all, or can you speak to any of that if you'd like?
Yeah, yeah. I think what Steve and Gina are doing is really incredible. And um, yeah, Katie was such an important part of my life. I met her when I was 14, and we miss her every day. But I think the work that Katie Save is doing is something that Katie would be immensely proud of, and I know she is immensely proud of. And so yeah, it's something that I'm involved in. I work with the family and try to advocate as much as possible. I think um, really what they're doing, which is so incredible, is spreading awareness. I think that um, too often people think like, oh, well, this, especially parents, like this wouldn't happen to my kid, or this wouldn't happen to my sister or my friend or whatever, because um, yeah, you don't think that that would happen for you. And I felt the same way. And I think that everyone is struggling and we just don't see it, because too often we're told to push it under the rug and not talk about it. And so what Katie Save is doing is really just trying to bring conversations to the table, because when you go to college, you are 18 and all of a sudden you're just expected to be an adult and handle everything on your own when you've been living under your parents' roof for the past 18 years and having them as your advocate. And you go into this world, and especially in college athletics, where so much is being demanded of you and you're being pulled in 100 different directions and expected to excel in all of those different directions. And so I think what Katie Save is doing with their designated advocate is so important, because um, it really is trying to create conversations. And that doesn't necessarily need to be between you and a parent. It's just between you and a trusted adult who can really help guide you, because at 18 you're not an adult, even though legally you are. Like, you still have so much developing to do. So yeah, I think the work that they're doing and the way that they're advocating is incredible. I got to actually go to one of their events in it was a couple months ago. I can't remember when it was, but they had Victoria Garrett Brown speaking and a couple other keynote speakers, and it was really just an incredible night, because I think it opens the eyes to a lot of kids and parents of a lot of people are struggling, but it's okay to struggle. It's okay to open up about it. It's okay to talk to other people about it. And just to remember that, you belong here because you are you and you are uniquely you and you're loved by so many. So I think, yeah, their work is just incredible, and I'm glad that I get to be a part of it.
Yeah, that is so awesome. I think it's been really neat to see from afar and an outsider's perspective how your class and your teammates from Stanford have rallied around a lot of different initiatives to help the mental side. And we're so grateful that you've joined Female Footballers to kind of help mentor younger girls in that capacity as well. So we're thrilled. And I think, it's very cool to see that you get to play with Naomi every day. So tell us about your rookie season. Like, this is quite a pretty cool. It's very rare that a player gets to play for their hometown and with one of their best friends. Like, I think that my husband played in MLS for 8 years and he was lucky enough to play for his hometown. It's a whole different feeling when you get to play for your hometown crowd. So tell us about your rookie season.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was a dream come true. I When San Diego came into the league, I was kind of, in the back of my mind thinking, wow, how cool would it be to be able to play there, and play in front of, my hometown. And when it happened, I was just speechless and so, so excited. I loved, you know, loved the experience. It was so fun to be able to play in Snapdragon, which is such an incredible environment. I think Wave has done a great job of rallying the community, and I think the San Diego community has done an incredible job of showing up for us. And so to be able to play there in front of 30 plus thousand fans and have the fans be filled with some of my old teachers and some of my old friends and some people from my street. And then also just to have my parents at every home game and have it be like a 20-minute drive for them is pretty incredible. And so, yeah, I feel really lucky. It's also San Diego is not a bad place to live either. So I'm really enjoying that while I'm here. And then also just being able to play with Naomi has been incredible. She's my best friend, and we've done so many things together. And so to be able to have this experience and have this as a shared experience has been amazing. And also just to have someone who is a year above me in the league who can, offer some advice and suggestions has been really nice. We actually sit next to each other in the locker room, which is coincidental but awesome at the same time. So yeah, that has just been an incredible experience, and to be able to do it with her is amazing. It's awesome. Her mom actually comes a lot for the games and stays at my parents' house, and so we usually have a whole squad of combined fans at every game, and it's like I don't even know how to express it in words, but it's just been an incredible experience, and I'm so grateful that I got to have it, and to be able to play in San Diego.
That is so awesome. Rach, did you want to?
Yeah, just also that's so awesome. And when obviously you guys were teammates at Stanford, when did you meet Naomi first in the national team system, or?
Yeah, we met when we were 14 too in the national team system and had played together for a while. So it was fun to just know each other, and then at Stanford we became really, really close.
Yeah. What a cool journey to know someone that long, and then to now be playing professionally with them. And then the parents, that's such a warm story.
I know. I think that's so cool. It's funny, my daughter's a huge Naomi Girma fan, and we're from San Jose, and my children train at her high school. And so when Bay FC was announced, my kids were like, she's gonna come play. And I'm like, I don't think so. I think she just re-signed a contract to stay down there. I'm like, don't get your hopes up. But I think that's the hardest part, right? Of getting to play in your hometown and knowing that like your career is going to be long. So the probability of staying, it's possible, right? There's a few players in the NWSL who've gotten to be at their club for 10 years. But it's also tricky too, right? Like, how do you feel at the prospect of having to play somewhere else? Would that be hard for you, or would you welcome that just because you're open to things?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a hard thing, and I think it's one thing that is difficult about playing professionally. It's like it's hard to settle somewhere because you have to pack up and move at any point whenever you're called upon, and so I think that's something that is an adjustment. But I think part of being a professional soccer player is being open to new experiences and being willing to pack up and move and to try something new. And so I love being in San Diego, and I'm kind of just taking it a year at a time and going to see what happens. But I think that, yeah, you look at players who, have been playing for years, and players in Europe, male players that have been playing, and you see, even the best of the best have to pick up and move and have new experiences. And a lot of times those new experiences can bring really cool new opportunities and new learning. So I think that's kind of my mindset through it all, is just to be open and see what happens.
Yeah, I think that mindset's needed. My husband played for 8 years, and I moved around with him for a few different times. And this was before guaranteed contracts in MLS. And I thought it was going to last forever. And so I didn't enjoy it enough of getting to live in different cities in the US. And I definitely regret kind of, just not being more accepting. But I definitely agree with you as far as, we had a whole room in our apartment, every place we lived, that never got unpacked because we just didn't know if it was worth settling. So I get that for sure.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we're so excited that you've joined Female Footballers. What I know a lot of the players you played at Stanford with have a vested interest in, whole player development and working on the mental side of the game. What brought you here, or your interest into the mental side? Has it been a part of your journey since your youth? I mean, it sounds like you've had a mentor in your dad since birth, and that's pretty special. So tell us a little bit about your interest in sort of mentorship and the mental side and whole player development.
Yeah, I think growing up, I quickly realized that the mental side of the game is so important. And um, I found out pretty quickly that when I'm confident, I play really well. And when I'm not confident, I don't play well. And so I remember just as a kid playing club soccer, like doing little things to kind of build up my confidence. We talked a little bit about it in the national team system too. So, doing like the Superman pose or the Superwoman pose before a game, and kind of just little things like that. But I definitely wasn't super educated on like why that works and, the little intricacies of it. So when I got to Stanford, I right away was like, I want to see the sports psychologist. And I was literally just focused on like, how can I get better at soccer and what can give me that like little edge. And so I was trying to kind of work with different mental tools with her. And then as college became difficult and as there were highs and lows, I kind of started to realize like, oh, okay, maybe I should talk about things outside of soccer and just kind of share what's going on in my life and use it as a little bit more of a therapy session instead of like a sports psychology session. And so I've just found that, they're kind of one and the same. Like if I want to be performing well in the field, I have to be doing well in my regular life, and vice versa. And so I think that kind of as I've gotten older and as I've matured, I've recognized the importance of that. And especially after going through losing Katie, it just kind of became more apparent. But for me, some of the things that I now really focus on, we have a sports psychologist with Wave, and she's incredible. She travels with us, and she's just has such a good heart, and knows kind of how to walk the line of being a sports psychologist and also being someone there to support you in your everyday life. And so I'm really grateful for her. And she actually encouraged me to read this book called Soccer Tough by Dan Abraham. I think that's his last name. And yeah, I've read the first and the second one and just absolutely loved it. Like that, those are things that are really interesting to me. And I love kind of learning about his stories and how he's had success with other people and the strategies that he presents. And so I read those and like really just loved them, and have taken a couple like sports psychology classes online just to kind of get a little bit more information. So some of the things that I do kind of on a day-to-day are, I think I've meditated for a while now, and I think that's something that's really helpful and just grounding me as a person. And then I also have gotten more into visualization recently. I think kind of the science behind that is pretty fascinating, where your body can't really tell the difference between when you're visualizing versus when you're actually doing something. And there's been so many studies of, how people succeed even more when they're visualizing and practicing. And so that's something that I really like to do. And then I also think just spending time and finding things that bring you joy and doing those things that are outside of soccer is so important. And that's something that I've really put a priority on recently. I think when you're a college athlete, you have so much going on, and I really loved school, and I loved that, if practice didn't go well one day, I could go to class and worry about my midterm and not focus on practice. And now as a professional athlete, soccer is the only thing that I'm truly doing every day. And so that's been something that's been really important for me this year is, okay, what are things outside of soccer that bring me joy, and how can I incorporate those into my weekly schedule? Because I think it's so important.
Absolutely. We were just talking to Taylor Porter, who plays for the Portland Thorns, last week. She's also a mentor for us. And she said the same thing, like really, she got really into reading, and they have like a whole book club on the Thorns, and she kind of took Olivia Moultrie under her wing and became a reader. And that was just such a big part of needing that outlet. And now with the off season, having some time to do things that she enjoys. So for your off season, your first off season, what are some things you're doing in the next month or so that kind of bring you joy?
Yeah. Honestly, a lot of traveling, which has been awesome. I got to spend some time with my family in Massachusetts over Thanksgiving. And I don't get to see them very often. Family is super important to me, and I have a very big extended family. And so it's hard to get everyone together, but we did do it successfully last week for Thanksgiving. So that's been something that's really important. And just getting time, like I'm doing a trip actually with a bunch of my Stanford teammates next week. And so I think though that's such a big thing for me is my family and friends. And it's hard during the season because we can't really leave. And I'm lucky because my family's here, so I do get to see my parents. But I think that's something that I definitely prioritize in the off season. And then I also have been getting really big into reading. So I've been reading a lot, and have actually been surfing a little bit, not as much as I would like to, but I do enjoy it, just kind of being out there on the water. So I've been surfing a little bit more, and then also just taking walks and kind of being outside. I mean, I'm so lucky. You guys have pretty good weather too, but it's like 70 and sunny right now and almost December. So just kind of being able to relax and take time outside has been really important for me.
That's awesome. Yeah. All of those things sound amazing. Yeah, you guys have a little bit nicer weather. It rained here today, but it's still not too
Oh,
bad. It's California. We can't complain, right?
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What, Sarah, what do you do? So this was your first professional season. What did you find that you, since you had that insight of like, you had school, or did you just gain that insight after your first year, or were there things you were implementing this season that were giving you that like non-soccer full player, fulfillment during the actual season?
Yeah. I think for the first couple of months, I was like, this is crazy. I have so much free time. And then I was quickly like, all right, well, I need to do something because you can only sit around for so long. And it does kind of occupy your mind when you just go to practice and then you're sitting around the rest of the day. And so I actually coached, I did a lot of one-on-one sessions at Stanford. And so I started doing that once I got here. And I really enjoy doing that. I think it's pretty special to be able to connect with, younger girls that want to succeed in soccer, and to be able to work with them and kind of mentor them in a way, but also just watch them grow, watch them improve and get so excited when they improve. So I really enjoyed doing that. I also started to volunteer a little bit more. I think there's so many cool opportunities in San Diego. And so I started to do kind of some things with the Ronald McDonald House around here, and a few food bank volunteer opportunities. So that was something that I really enjoyed because I also kind of felt like I was giving back to this community, which has given me so much. And then the other thing, which I've kind of been doing on and off, but I definitely do miss the learning piece of school. And I think it's really cool to kind of be, constantly learning new information and asking questions and thinking about things critically. And so I started kind of doing there's some pretty awesome online courses that are free. So I've kind of been trying to do some of those things, and it's kind of nice because it's not like school where you have to fulfill certain requirements and make sure you get all your GEs. I can really kind of focus on things that are really interesting to me. So that's kind of where I took the sports psychology course. And that's definitely something I'm going to continue doing because I think it's just fun and interesting to learn new things.
I love that. I hope more players do that too. Just having, like I said, living with somebody who used to play for 8 years, it's an adjustment after you're done. And the more you can fulfill your time while you're playing with interests and learning what you're interested in will really help you post playing for finding what works for you, what kind of job you want. And it also helps fill your schedule, like you said, because I think that's an adjustment for some girls who do go into a more corporate profession after they play. Rarely does that happen, but it does. And it's, it's hard to get up and do the 9 to 5 after you've had 4-hour practice and that's all. Right. So yeah, for sure. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Any other questions you had, Rachel? I don't want to cut you off if you have anything else. No. Okay. We've taken so much of your time, but I'm so grateful that you were able to come on and chat with us and give our listeners a little insight into who you are and what you're about, especially now that you're going to be a mentor for us. And I'm just so excited for girls to be able to learn from you, from all the different experiences that you've had. And thank you. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you guys. And I'm really excited to be a mentor.
Awesome. Well, we will, listeners, please take a listen to this episode, share it, review it, rate it, all the things, because this is a really important person that we're having join Female Footballers, and we're really thrilled to have her. So, Sarah, thank you for your time, and everybody keep listening, share, rate, respond, review, all the things.